what's up? Just Aaron right here, Question Period Canada. A couple of things I'll tell you about the history of the channel. We had no idea about Canadian federal politics when we started. We just started. But since then, we've been watching a lot and learning a lot. We did not have a side when we started watching, just the side of the people at the grocery store who are suffering. My fellow Canadians have been facing ridiculously tough times. That's still the side we're on, by the way. But we're finding out why that is. We're catching on. We've been watching so much Canadian federal politics. It's crazy. But we know now, and we just want to share that with you, which was the idea in the beginning, was to learn about Canadian federal politics. And that's what we've been doing. We cover the live daily broadcasts of the question periods. We cover a lot of Senate stuff. We do many other videos. But this is a mishmash of the things that we've been learning about this corrupt Trudeau NDP Liberal coalition government. It is a mess. We have many people to blame. There is maybe a possible solution to the issues we face, but we need an election. This is just a fun video of the things that we've been learning about Canadian politics. It's been fun making this channel. This community is growing into a really cool place to hang out to watch Question Period. There are so many cool people in the room that I look forward to seeing every day. Anyhow, we're going to jump into the clips. Get right to it.
You just laid out the tough economic times that Canadians are facing. You say you're seized with the issue. Did you consider that backdrop when you decided to take an $80,000 free vacation?
As many Canadians did, I stayed with friends over the holidays.
No plan to address climate change in this country. No plan to increase the resilience of our communities in the fight against climate change. Warming climate causes droughts. Droughts damage crops. Damaged crops increase the cost of groceries. And yet, the Conservative Party cannot even agree on whether or not climate change is real.
Word I say is true, and that member knows it. The Prime Minister's ArriveScan app is not worth the cost or corruption. Contractors were paid over $1,000 a day, even though 18% of the invoices for these contracts had no supporting documentation. So we don't even know if the contractors completed the work.
The Conservative leader likes to talk about the challenges Canadians are facing on the cost of living, but he refuses to take action in support of them.
However, we do not agree with this decision, and respectfully, we will be appealing it.
But I want to put it to Justin Trudeau and the Liberals that we're getting very close to a final offer on the table. And if they do not come through with their commitment, if they break their promise by March 1st, there will be consequences. We are fighting for people, not for pharmaceutical companies. We want young families, workers, seniors to be able to get access to medication. We're not worried about the bottom line for big pharma or for big insurance companies. That's whose side we are on. We'll see whose side the Liberals are on.
Question, sir, is should you form the next federal government, will you make female safe spaces safe again by introducing legislation that bans so-called transgender women from participating in female sports and getting access into female shelters and female prisons?
Female spaces should be exclusively for females, not for biological males. You asked if I introduced legislation on that. A lot of the spaces you described are provincially and municipally controlled. So it is unclear what federal legislation what reach federal legislation would have to change them. But obviously, female sports, female change rooms, female bathrooms should be for females, not for biological males.
These are some of my absolute favorites to watch, and it doesn't matter what party they're in. I like watching these guys.
Institution that's covering up is this Liberal cabinet and that Liberal minister. If the Prime Minister has nothing to hide, why does the RCMP need a court order? Release the documents voluntarily.
Common sense Conservatives will put forward a motion summoning the principles of GC strategies to appear before the Government Operations Committee. Now, GC Strategies, of course, is the two-person firm who worked on Justin Trudeau's $60 million Arrive scam scandal. But this app had this $20 million contract where this company did no actual IT work.
The two insiders at GC Strategies worked with the NDP Liberal government to set the requirements of Arrive scam contracts, which GC Strategies then got. In other words, the process was rigged. The government massively overpaid for this $60 million glitchy app because the process was rigged. It was rigged so that GC Strategies got $20 million from taxpayers and did no actual work.
Defined by the Auditor General, the pandemic urgency can never justify corruption and oversight failures outlined in this report. The awarding of contractors favor GC Strategies, securing almost $20 million without competition. The CBSA's disregard for basic management practices compromised accountability, competition, and value for money.
Minister's Arrive scam app was not worth the cost or the corruption. The Auditor General found a glaring disregard for mismanagement practices. The process was rigged from the beginning, which appears to be business as usual. After 8 years of this NDP Liberal government, taxpayers are paying a high price for Liberal insiders, and Canadians want answers. Will the NDP Liberal coalition come clean with Canadians or continue the cover-up?
The corruption is a feature and not a bug. SNC Lavalin, We Charity, and now the Prime Minister's Arrive scam app. Millions the Canadians won't get back. The grift and the mismanagement run so deep that the auditors couldn't even figure out how much got shipped off to Liberal insiders. So after what we learned yesterday, will the Prime Minister join us in calling for the RCMP to get to the bottom of all of it?
Not worth the cost and not worth the corruption. The investigation and damning report issued by the Auditor General on ArriveCam even shocked her. But really, after 8 years of this NDP Liberal government, no one should be shocked by the level of incompetence and wasteful spending Canadians have seen from this Prime Minister. Now, a reasonable thinking person could conclude from the report that Arrive scam has reached a level of criminality. Yes. Will the Prime Minister join Conservatives and call on the RCMP to expand an investigation into Arrive scam based on the revelations in the Auditor General's report?
For their hard-earned tax dollars, an app that was 750 times over budget, required 177 updates, forced 10,000 people into quarantine by error, and caused chaos at our borders, ruining any chance of a tourism recovery.
Mr. Speaker.
Arrive scam is now flailing out of control. Today, revelations from a Joël Denis Bellevance that one Arrive scam company received $250 million in contracts. Let's get this straight. It's a company with 4 employees, headquartered in the basement of a tiny cottage. They got IT contracts even though they admit they do no IT work. $250 million? WTF.
I'm going to ask, we are dangerously close to crossing the line in terms of what is considered parliamentary language.
Where's the funds?
The ArriveCan scandal goes even deeper. The Liberals gave $250 million to GC Strategies. Let's talk about what that $60 million for ArriveCan could have bought. 125 affordable homes. 800 nurses hired. Instead, this Prime Minister spent this money on an app that doesn't work and no one uses. How does the Prime Minister look Canadians in the eyes with all this waste?
Kurt, let me quote what he said about life in Canada after 8 years of his Prime Ministership, and I quote, "Yeah, grocery bills suck. Rent sucks. Mortgage renegotiations. Oh my God, how are we going to deal with it?" Mr. Speaker, this is life after 8 years. What is his slogan going to be in the next election?
Vote for me and life will suck. I think that's what he just said.
But these are the worst of the worst. There's so much. They're just awful. How can you watch it?
Here, the member is correct when he points to the ability, the expertise of the RCMP and the Auditor General and other institutions to work together. They know how to do their job. They don't need political processes politicians use to do their job. The RCMP and the Auditor General and all of the other independent organizations on which Canadians have the fortune to depend know what to do.
Impactful to our economy, and I know that this work will continue.
Mr. Speaker, unlike the Conservatives who want to take money away from Canadians, we're putting money back in the pockets of Canadians with rebates. Focus on what Canadians are actually getting back. In 2023-24, Ontario, $976. Speaker, it doesn't make sense. It's not common sense to deny climate change and to cut money from Canadian families.
Continue to fight climate change and make sure that Albertans have more money in their pockets than they are paying in the carbon pricing. Why, Mr. Speaker? $1,800 to a family of 4, and if you get the rural top-up, 20% top-up, 21...
Sorry, like, this isn't good for continuation or whatever. We've changed up videos. We're gonna focus on something else. This has been a great video though. I hope you've enjoyed it. Like and subscribe. Canadian Politics. We're learning all about it and sharing it with you. We love doing these question periods daily. We do those 10 after 3 AST. So tune in. Like and subscribe. We're having a blast learning and sharing Canadian politics with you.